Good afternoon, everyone. Today I want to take you on a journey, one that humanity has been traveling for thousands of years, but that many of us are just now starting to rediscover. It's the journey toward Henosis, an ancient Greek word that means unity or oneness. In a world filled with fragmentation, whether it's the division in our societies, the conflicts within our own minds, or the sense of separation we feel from each other and even from ourselves, the concept of Henosis couldn't be more relevant. But what is Henosis, really, and why should it matter to us today? Henosis, at its core, is about reunion with the divine. It's the process of returning to the source of all being, often referred to as the One in ancient Greek philosophy. In the works of Plotinus and other Neoplatonists, the One represents the ultimate reality, a transcendent unity beyond all division, beyond even the categories of thought or existence. It is the origin of everything, and everything ultimately returns to it. For the ancient philosophers, especially those influenced by the teachings of Plato, the soul had descended into the material world and become entangled in the sensory experiences, desires, and distractions of life. The goal, through Henosis, was to rise above these distractions, purify oneself, and reunite with the divine, the One. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds very abstract or mystical. What does this have to do with my life in the 21st century? Here's why it matters. In our modern lives, we face constant noise, fragmentation, and division. Within ourselves and in the world around us. We're always running, always connected, but somehow more disconnected from a deeper sense of purpose and unity. What we're missing, in many ways, is the experience of Henosis, a path that leads us back to wholeness, back to the deeper, unified reality behind all the noise and distractions of everyday life. Henosis isn't just an abstract, mystical concept reserved for philosophers or monks meditating in far-off places. It's a practical, lived process that each of us can engage in every day. By integrating practices that purify the mind and soul, by reflecting on the deeper truths of existence, and by aligning ourselves with something greater than the chaos of the world, we can begin to experience a profound sense of unity in our own lives. Today, we're going to explore the practical steps to Henosis. How do we move from our everyday lives full of distractions, stress, and division toward this state of oneness? What does it mean to purify the soul, to contemplate higher truths, and to experience union with something greater than ourselves? In the next few moments, I'll take you through a series of triads, three-part frameworks that ancient philosophers used to map the path to Henosis. Each triad represents a key phase in the journey, and I'll offer you practical advice on how to live out these steps, not just as a distant goal, but as a transformative daily practice. Let's begin this journey toward wholeness, toward unity, toward Henosis. Let's begin by looking at the journey from where we are now, immersed in the physical world, to where we want to go, union with the highest reality, the One. The sensible realm is our starting point, the physical world we inhabit. It's where our daily lives happen, work, relationships, the distractions that pull us in every direction. How do we develop here? By practicing mindfulness and detachment. It's not about rejecting the world, but learning to navigate it without being controlled by it. We recognize that this material realm is temporary. Then we move to the intelligible realm, a realm of ideas, principles, and truths beyond the physical. To tap into this, we need intellectual and philosophical reflection. This isn't just abstract thinking. It's about seeing the interconnectedness of things. For example, when you look at a tree, don't just see wood and leaves. Think about the ecosystem it represents, the cycle of life, the beauty of nature's design. By contemplating deeper truths, we move toward greater understanding and clarity. Finally, we aim for the One, the ultimate, ineffable source of all. Here's the challenge. The One is beyond thought, beyond distinctions. So how do we reach it? Through simplicity, meditation, surrender, and stillness. The more we simplify and let go of our intellectual need to control, the closer we come to unity with the divine. Each stage builds on the other. The sensible realm, when viewed rightly, opens us to the intelligible. And through contemplation, we reach the oneness that transcends all realms. Now let's look at the internal work required for this ascent. To reach Henosis, we must engage in a triad of spiritual disciplines: purification, contemplation, and union. Purification is the cleansing of our soul from attachments to material desires and egoistic impulses. What does this look like practically? Ethical living, self-discipline, and humility. Simplifying our desires is the first step in clearing a path for higher thoughts and experiences. Ask yourself, where am I attached? What am I clinging to that's keeping me from seeing beyond myself? Contemplation follows naturally once we purify ourselves. We begin to contemplate higher truths, principles, and ideals. This means engaging deeply with wisdom, reading, reflecting, meditating. It's not enough to purify yourself externally. Contemplation allows the soul to rise beyond the ordinary, to see the world as interconnected, to perceive eternal truths. Through contemplation, we access deeper levels of reality. Union is the culmination of these efforts, a state of oneness, where we transcend the intellect and even the act of contemplation. This is the moment when we experience unity with the divine, when all distinctions dissolve. Union is beyond description. It's felt, not thought. But to get there, we must build the foundation through purification and contemplation. Without these, union remains out of reach. The next triad focuses on the different aspects of ourselves that we need to align on this path. The body is where we begin. It's not the enemy, it's our vessel, but it must be disciplined. Practically, this means caring for your body in a balanced way: health, exercise, moderation. Respect your body as the vehicle for your soul's journey, but don't let it dominate your existence. The soul is the intermediary between the body and the higher spirit. The soul is where we experience emotions, intellect, and moral reasoning. To develop the soul, we need to cultivate virtues, wisdom, courage, compassion, and engage in self-reflection. Ask yourself, how do I elevate my emotional life? Am I aligning my emotions and thoughts with higher principles? The spirit is our divine spark, the part of us that yearns for unity with the One. Developing the spirit means fostering practices that connect us to the divine: meditation, prayer, or simply being in awe of the mystery of existence. The spirit is what ultimately guides us to transcend the lower realms of the body and soul and experience oneness. When we align body, soul, and spirit, we create the conditions for Henosis to unfold naturally. Each part of ourselves must work in harmony, and when that happens, we begin to experience unity within and without. Next, we shift from the internal to the external world and how we perceive it. We start with multiplicity, the diversity of life around us. Multiplicity can be overwhelming, but it's also beautiful. We can develop here by learning to observe without attachment. Appreciate the differences in life, but don't let them fragment your sense of self. When we see the world as scattered, we feel scattered. Through reflection, we begin to see unity in diversity. This is the realization that behind the diversity, there is a deeper, underlying unity. Everything is connected. You are part of a greater whole. We develop this by seeking out patterns and connections in life. Look beyond differences to the common threads. Finally, we reach oneness. This is the ultimate realization that all diversity and unity are expressions of the same source. Oneness is not just a thought, it's an experience where you dissolve into that unity. Meditation and deep reflection help move us toward this ultimate state of being. The journey to Henosis is also cyclical, a return to where we began, but with deeper awareness. Descent is our immersion into the material world. It's not something to resist or regret. Instead, understand that our descent into multiplicity is necessary for learning and growth. We experience separation so we can later recognize unity. Recognition happens when we begin to wake up to our higher nature. The key here is cultivating self-awareness. Who am I, really? Am I just this body? Am I just my thoughts? Recognition is when we begin to see ourselves as more than just our current fragmented experience. Ascent follows recognition. Once we realize our higher nature, we naturally begin the path upward toward purification, contemplation, and union. Ascent is both a process and an outcome, where the soul actively seeks out the divine while becoming more and more aligned with it. As we come to the end of our exploration of Henosis, I want to bring everything we've discussed back to the heart of why this ancient concept is so vital for us today. We began with the idea that we live in a fragmented world, a world of constant distraction, division, and separation. Whether it's the pull of material desires, the stress of our daily lives, or even the internal conflict we feel within ourselves, we often experience life as a series of disconnected pieces. And yet, deep inside, we all long for something more, for unity, for wholeness, for a sense of connection that transcends the ordinary. Henosis offers us a way to reclaim that unity, not just as a lofty philosophical ideal, but as a practical, lived experience. Through the steps we've explored today, we can begin to bring the many fragmented parts of ourselves back into harmony. We start by recognizing that the material world, while important, is only the surface of reality. As we move through purification, we let go of attachments that no longer serve us, creating space for higher understanding. Through contemplation, we engage with deeper truths, looking beyond the surface of our experiences to see the patterns of unity that underlie them. And ultimately, we move toward union, that mystical state where the boundaries between self and other dissolve, and we experience oneness with the One, the source of all. But let me be clear. Henosis is not about retreating from the world or rejecting the richness of life. Instead, it's about engaging with life in a way that brings us closer to its core. It's about seeing the unity in diversity, the oneness in multiplicity. It's about aligning our body, soul, and spirit so that we can navigate this world with a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and connectedness. The beauty of this path is that it's not confined to a monastery or a philosophy textbook. It's available to each of us right here, right now. Henosis is a journey we take every day. It's in the way we interact with others, the way we reflect on our lives, and the way we seek out meaning and truth in everything we do. So, as we leave here today, I invite you to take this journey. Start by practicing awareness in your daily life. Recognize the distractions, but don't be controlled by them. Seek out moments of stillness and reflection. Contemplate the deeper truths that resonate with you, and allow those truths to guide your actions. And most importantly, remember that the journey toward unity is not something far off. It's something you can start today, with small, intentional steps. Henosis reminds us that, despite the apparent fragmentation around us, we are already part of something greater, already connected to a deeper unity. Our task is simply to rediscover it, to reawaken to it.